Hello everyone and welcome back to Fanboy Radio. Today I'm going to do a short prediction video of My Hero Academia. This video will include spoilers from chapter 256, so if you haven't read it, go ahead and click off the video, go read it, come back if you're interested. But today, my prediction will be that a UA student will die. More specifically, I think that one of our main characters in Class 1A will die in this upcoming arc, revolving this 4-month plan that the League of Villains has put together. Why I think this is that this kind of like final arc of our main character our main characters will face, because it's coming to the end of their first year. This final arc has been set up for a while, ever since All Might was put out of commission and Endeavor took his spot. Because they've said over and over that Hero Society has become more dangerous ever since All Might left. And villains are starting to become more organized, they're starting to become more bold. And that they ought to train even first-year students to be able to go out into society and work professionally as a hero. Obviously through the work permit, which they all have earned. But also recently through their work studies, where they've all kind of trained, harnessed their powers, so forth and so forth, to accommodate this threat which they're going to face. And especially in the last 20 or 30 chapters, they've brought up several times that it is very important for the students to be ready to face the increasing danger that is growing in Hero Society. And it came up so many times that it just got me to think that, oh yeah, I think one of the UA students might die pretty soon here, because they brought it up so many times. But then I really started to think that once the League of Villains started to become so strong. So if you've read up to 256, you already know that the League of Villains has now incorporated the Liberation Army. So the people in their group some of those people are incredibly, incredibly strong. Just to list some: Shigaraki, Apocrypha, Twice, Dabi, Toga, and Redestro. All those people are really, really, really hot, strong hitters in the grand scheme of things. They are lethal threats to anyone they come up against. And to go down the list, just to make it more clear. So first of all, they have Shigaraki, right? In the villain arc, we see that he's now capable, possibly, of destroying an entire city on his own with this kind of disintegration quirk. So for our students, someone like, Ochaco coming up against Shigaraki is like, yeah, that's like a high diff fight for Ochaco. Very, very, very low diff fight for Shigaraki. So he's incredibly dangerous, and I think he's pretty dangerous for most of our students in Class 1A. But also, more than Shigaraki, they also have Apocrypha, right? She, and I'm going to say it's a she. They don't specifically say it, but they reveal her face, and it looks pretty feminine, so I'm just going to say that Apocrypha is a she. She can control water in a pretty wide range near her, even water in the sewers, to control and to make into ice. And I don't think it's city level. It's probably multi-block level, but she can use that for wide destruction if she needed to. On the opposite end of that, we have Dabi, who was contending with her power. He didn't fight her off necessarily, but it's fair to say that they're pretty even in terms of their firepower. And so her with her ice ability and Dabi with his fire ability are huge threats to a kind of like low-level hero who doesn't have the power to match that. Also, Twice, as we see in my favorite My Hero Academia chapter, Sad Man's Parade, he can now use his quirk to its fullest ability after he faced his fear of not being the real one. Now that he knows that, he can use his quirk to create hundreds or thousands of copies of himself to overrun an entire city. And of course, if we mention Twice, we gotta mention Toga. She can now take on not only the appearance of someone whose blood she digest, but also their quirk as well if she's in the right state of mind to do so, or if she wants to be that person so bad that she can tap into their quirk like she did with the Ochacos, right? So her, let's say if she took someone's quirk like Bakugo's, right, with explosions. We know that obviously Bakugo's a hero, right? But if he was a villain, he would be to any city's infrastructure, he would be devastating. He's just like a walking bomb. So if Toga was able to copy that power or something like that, she would also essentially become an incredible threat. Like a Bakugo on the villain side who could destroy buildings like that in an instant. Entire blocks almost. And then, of course, they also have Redestro. We see him lose his legs, but we also know that he's very tech savvy and he has all these inventions for the villains to use and also for him to use. And him, once he's in the full power of his quirk, he could, what I would assume is take on that kind of like Hulk Buster technology. If you watch the Marvel movies or the Avenger movies, you see the Hulk Buster Iron Man suit. I could see Redestro using something like that to fight, even though he doesn't have his two legs anymore. So on that point, the villains are looking really, really, really powerful. And for someone low down in the power scale in our class, in class 1A, like even Kirishima, what's Kirishima gonna do against Shigaraki or Dabi or Redestro? You see what I'm saying? So the stakes are incredibly high if we see our main characters go up against this threat, which I'm pretty sure we will because they've been prepping them to do so. On another note, which this one's a little smaller, is that I don't think we ever figured out who the traitor was at UA, the informant who was leaking information to the League of Villains. If I'm wrong about that, correct me, but that person is still out there. And if it's a student, that student could set up another student to, be in incredible danger in this upcoming arc. And as for who exactly will die, I have some guesses, but maybe that's because my mind is a little twisted. But we see in chapter 256 that there are two obvious ships in My Hero Academia, Class 1A so far. We have Kirishima and Mina, which has been built up since the Overhaul arc, and since we saw Kirishima's background. And in chapter 256, we see them kind of flirting with each other. It would be pretty devastating to see one of these two characters die, but I think that would also be good storytelling because we got to see this conclusion to Kirishima's arc, right, in the Overhaul arc. We saw him be able to face his fears and to stand in front of someone he's trying to protect, to face off against a powerful villain, even though he knows he might die. We could see that come into play into this new arc if someone is trying to attack, let's say Mina, for instance, and she's one who's not hesitant to jump into danger. If she does that and Kirishima wants to protect her, because of how we see his character arc get resolved in Overhaul, I can definitely see him jumping into a situation he can't really handle or defend against well and die as a result because of that. Another ship that we see is Deku and Ochaco, and we've seen that for a while, obviously, since the beginning of the story. But it's starting to play a way bigger part in the story. It's become very obvious, and we see in the background of some of these panels in chapter 256, Mina putting a thumbs up and supporting their potential relationship there. And we obviously know that Deku's not going to die because we know he's going to eventually become the greatest hero, and he's nowhere near that as of right now. But Ochaco, on the other hand, could possibly die. We know that she's a pretty, solid main character that we've got to know very well. But it would be a very strong power move by Horikoshi to kill her off in this upcoming arc, possibly to, sacrifice herself to save Deku. But it could also be Mina too, because, again, like I said, we've seen her jump into these kind of dangerous situations, and we would see the devastating effect that would have on Kirishima to, push him forward into the future. But as of right now, my main prediction is that the UA student that will die in this upcoming arc to face off against the villains will probably be Kirishima. Not only because we've seen his character arc be resolved for the most part, we see him also have this ship with Mina and their past relationship because they went to the same, middle school before they came to high school. But also because Kirishima is, Bakugo's closest friend in this story so far. So since we have a pretty decent idea that Bakugo will survive through the story for a long time to be the rival to Deku, if we see Kirishima die in this next arc, that would be great motivation for Bakugo in the future to learn, become wiser, use that as motivation to be stronger and more level-headed, so forth and so forth. And it would be great, just compelling story because of the ship with Mina and so forth. But anyway, guys, that's my prediction. I think one UA student that we know pretty personally so far will die in this upcoming arc. I think the stakes are way too high and they've hinted at the danger way too many times for it to not happen. And I think because of these ships, it would just tug at our heartstrings more if it was someone in one of these two ships. And I think that would just be more compelling writing to do so. And I think that it will be Kirishima because he is a person who will step in front of his friends to protect them in a dire situation, and because his death would serve a great purpose to motivate Bakugo. So yeah, that's it for me, guys. Thanks for listening. If you've listened this far, if you've liked the video, go ahead and leave a like. If you like this type of content, please subscribe. If you have a comment about anything that I've said so far, or if you have a prediction about this as to who might die, or if you don't think anyone will die, leave that comment in the comment section below, and I will be happy to reply and have a discussion with you. But yeah, that's it for me. Thanks for listening, guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye.